Greetings all, this is Nick. How is everyone out there going? It's time we finished off talking about all of the new stuff that was announced for X-Wing from AMG from Mini Stravaganza. Completing all of this with the quick build cards for the Republic and CIS in the Siege of Coruscant box set, which is going to release sometime after the Battle of Yavin box set, whenever that is going to be. We don't have a lot of details on that just yet, but we did have 6 pilots revealed, so let's talk about those right now. Starting off for no particular reason on the Republic, let's talk about Anakin Skywalker first. Probably the most iconic character that's going to be in this pack. Basically, we have something that is very, very similar to what you're able to take on a customizable Anakin. So in terms of what it's offering in terms of new design space, it's one of the safer cards we're going to be seeing in these box sets. Basically, all of the ship stats are the same. Action bar, base stats, dice. No hull upgrade, no shield upgrade, none of those shenanigans. The slight difference we do have, though, is that we're able to provide Obi-Wan with a free barrel roll instead of the customizable version, which allows him to remove a red or orange token. Apart from that, Anakin Skywalker by and large has upgrades that he would otherwise be able to take in both Malice and R2-D2. The only thing that is new for this is ancillary ion weapons, which is a cannon upgrade which doesn't exist as a customizable card. While you perform a primary front arc attack, before rolling attack dice, you may spend 2 charges. If you do, your critical results deal ion tokens instead of damage. And I don't really know what to make of this. I'm kind of disappointed with both the little tweaks that are made on this card. First of all, being able to give Obi-Wan Kenobi barrel rolls is really, really cool. Just bear in mind that Obi-Wan needs to have at least one enemy ship at range 0 to 1. So the more you sort of abuse that, the more likely it is that there'll be a ship actually preventing him from doing a barrel roll. There is, of course, the argument that, well, while it could prevent him from doing a barrel roll, it could also mean that there's a ship that he could arc dodge at range 1, which is also quite powerful now that I think about it. So that's okay. I think it's got a higher ceiling than just removing a red or orange token on Obi-Wan. I'll give it that. But the only other thing is, ancillary ion weapons makes up what would be 8 points worth of upgrades on Anakin Skywalker. Just for context, his customizable version can currently take 20 points worth of upgrades, and if he had Malice and R2-D2 and nothing else, it means he could take another force, another talent, or a different cannon. And especially just looking at the options for force and talents alone, using up those remaining 8 points, there are some very, very powerful options. And ancillary ion weapons is interesting, but it doesn't even work in the bullseye attack, which is just a really annoying, needless flaw on this. Like, why couldn't it just say primary attack? I guess this is the design they want to put on other ships. I appreciate that. I guess at range 1, you're chucking 3 red dice, so there's a chance you might get criticals. But, you know, we have to sort of manufacture situations where you definitely want your criticals not to go into the hull, so they have to be ion instead. Usually you just want to deal your opponent's ship criticals. There are definitely circumstances where ion is better, but you've got to sort of reliably manufacture that, and this just doesn't feel great in my opinion. I just feel like if we look at the customizable version of Anakin, he's just probably going to be more consistent, and that's a bit of a shame. The customizable version of Anakin, as in the non-quick build version, costs 6 points. I'm going to assume this quick points version is going to be 6 points as well. He's definitely not worse enough to take him all the way down to 5 points. Again, loss of granularity, blah, blah, blah. I can go on about this all day long, but this is a great example of how this kind of hurts this new design. Look, it's interesting. I don't think it's terrible. Maybe it will be the prevailing Anakin Skywalker, but even if it is, it doesn't really offer the game anything new. So, yeah, whatever. Let's go over to another Republic ship in Axe on the V19 Torrent. Actually, before I talk about this pilot, I do want to point out, and this was mentioned on the Patreon Discord, that this pilot actually was not present in the Siege of Coruscant. And look, that doesn't really bother me so much from a game perspective. At the end of the day, it's another clone with a different word on a card. The only thing that does is prevent you from taking Axe elsewhere in your list in either the customizable torrent or another ship. It is kind of weird that they included a pilot which canonically could not have been in the Battle of Coruscant because, spoiler alert for the Clone Wars, Axe died in a previous battle. And while there are other ships in this pack, and indeed the Battle of Yavin pack, which canonically weren't part of those battles, this is the only sort of I guess what you call an egregious overstep in terms of what absolutely could not be part of this battle. It doesn't bother me so much, but at the same time, I kind of think, why didn't AMG just do a quick search on Wikipedia and go, oh, hang on, this pilot was dead, let's just use another one or invent another one. Whatever, not a huge deal, but I just wanted to point that out. So in terms of what's going on with this ship, it's by and large the same as a torrent fighter, except the fact that Axe does have an extra hull, so it's like he's running an extra hull upgrade. That's cool. And they've tweaked his pilot ability to work in conjunction with the baked-in ability they're giving the clones for this pack. After you perform an attack, you may choose another friendly ship with the Born for this ability at range 0 to 2 in your side arcs. The chosen ship gains a lock on the defender. And Born for this reads, while another friendly ship at range 0 to 2 defends, if you're not strained, it may spend your focus or evade tokens as if that ship has them. If it does, you gain a strain token, so it's only going to work once per turn, which is kind of cool. So it's a bit different to Axe's regular customizable ability, which allows him to transfer a green token to a separate ship. This allows another ship to get a lock, which is very, very powerful. It's got to be another one of the clones specifically for this pack, so it's not going to be this ultra degenerate style of play where you can just, make up a crazy ship with some kind of, proton torpedo build and whatever and just hammer ships consistently as like this tier meta list. Or maybe you can. Maybe there'll be a quick build card that has that, but I kind of doubt it. In terms of the upgrade Axe has, he's got Deadeye Shot, which is just fine on a torrent. It's only initiative 3. It's not the best dial, so it's a bit of a meh talent to take on him. But Barrage Rockets is interesting. This is usually a card you require 2 missile slots for, so that's kind of interesting. Basically, it kind of gives ships with 2 red dice a 3 red dice attack at range 2 to 3. It's nice and powerful. It gives you a bit more consistency, which is pretty cool. It does give you another incentive to hit ships in your bullseye, which again is a bit of a stretch. But at the same time, I kind of like the way this works with Axe's pilot ability in that you can sort of really lean into aggression, which is cool. I don't think anything's ultra synergistic here, but it's a nice bump in power level, and at least, we've got a nice baked-in ability, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It doesn't really wow me, but it's cool. And last in the Republic, we have Shaak Ti. Again, no modifications to her ETA-2 Jedi Starfighter, all the same regular stats that you'd expect. At the start of the end phase, you may perform a purple coordinate action, even while stressed. After you perform a coordinate action, if the chosen ship has Born for this, as a ship ability, you may coordinate 1 additional ship. So the regular version of Shaak Ti is similar. She reads, at the start of the end phase, you may spend any number of force to choose that many friendly ships at range 0 to 2. Each ship does not remove 1 focus or evade token during the end phase. It's kinda similar to taking an action, basically just going into the next round with tokens already. It is categorically different, obviously, but it's a very similar kind of design. Now, Shaak Ti, in her customizable form, has 18 points worth of upgrades. And again, we're putting a lot of weight on the power of ancillary iron weapons. And again, it only works in a forward arc, non-bullseye attack. Yeah, Marksmanship, Brilliant Evasion, R4P, Astromech, all cool upgrade cards. But yeah, again, it feels like we're putting a lot of weight on ancillary iron weapons. Apart from that, this is all stuff Shaak Ti can already be doing. So again, I don't know. I feel like this is going to be good for a heavy Republic quick build list because of the ability to coordinate extra ships during activation. Yes, retaining tokens is great turn in, turn out, but you're able to act a bit more reactionary when you're doing this during activation and actually, just coordinating ships, as opposed to just letting them keep tokens that you don't know whether or not will be relevant the next round. So Yeah, I think the pilot ability is better, but again, we're talking about like what can we do with those upgrade points on the regular build? Another force, a different cannon, a modification. Yeah, I get it. This doesn't feel as bad as Anakin Skywalker, but at the same time, it's not a really crazy different design. It just feels a bit better in some ways, but a little bit disappointing again compared to the other quick build cards that we've got on different factions. Okay, let's move over to the Separatist with Count Dooku and the Sith Infiltrator. Again, something that did not appear in the Battle of Coruscant, but well, who cares? It's a cool ship. Let's get more versions of this. So his ship stats are all the same. Yep, all the same actions. His pilot ability reads, during an attack, before a ship at range 0 to 2 rolls attack or defense dice, if all of your force are active, you may spend a force to name a result. If the roll does not contain the named result, the ship must change one die to that result. Which is quite different to his regular customizable pilot ability, which reads, after you defend, if the attacker is in your firing arc, you may spend a force to remove one blue or red token. After you perform an attack that hits, you may spend a force to perform an action. For cloaking shenanigans, obviously. This is quite different, and this sort of harkens back to the old Emperor Palpatine design from first edition. For those of you who don't know, instead of just giving you a force that can work on the whole team, like the new Palp does, this is kind of like the errated version of Palp after the initial design was a bit too powerful. Basically, the initial design of Palp was like any dice roll that any of your ships do, including like rolling for asteroids and attack and defense and everything, you could just change any result after the fact. And they had to change it because he was proving a little bit too powerful in the meta, that you had to announce a result before you rolled dice, and then you could change one of the dice to that result. Now, it didn't have the clause that you can't roll any of those results in order to do it like this new Count Dooku has. But nevertheless, even in that form, Palp still saw meta play. I like this Count Dooku a lot. I don't know if it's better than the customizable one. In terms of its upgrade cards, Malice and Scimitar are both upgrades that it can already take. Roiling Anger, apart from being another force upgrade, which he would not otherwise be able to take, is a new design as well. At the start of the engagement phase, if you are in the enemy ship's forward arc, you may gain a strain token to recover a force, which is cool. It's nice and offensive if you're sort of tip to tip with your opponent at range 1 and you're going to shoot them first. It might be the difference between you destroying their ship and not, which is pretty cool. It doesn't seem crazy in terms of these, upgrades that don't exist as a separate card. This is not super exciting, but it's cool design nonetheless. Again, I don't know what to make of this in terms of comparing it to its regular customizable design. Obviously, the customizable design, being able to uncloak and cloak, has an insanely high power ceiling. This just feels good. And the fact that this ability works on other ships, I think, is the kind of thing that pushes it over the top for me. I honestly don't know which design has a higher ceiling in terms of power level, but I'm curious to find out. I don't think this one breaks the meta, but it could be potentially quite good. Alright, next we have a droid, DBS-32C, in the Hyena Bomber. Ship stats remain exactly the same. We have a new pilot ability. After you perform a calculate action, you may spend a charge to perform a jam action. And it has 2 charges, they don't recur. Also, network calculation, which is like the standard baked-in ability for Hyenas, so no changes there. This is very different from the standard pilot ability which we have on the customizable version of this. At the start of the engagement phase, you may spend a calculate to perform a coordinate action. You cannot coordinate ships that do not have the network calculation ship ability. So it's a much more offensive version of this pilot in that it's able to jam your opponent's ship apart from getting free coordinates, which is interesting. I don't think there's anything wrong with that from a gameplay point of view. It just, I don't know, it feels like a bit of a design change. It's one of the situations where I think, well, why didn't they just make a new pilot? But I don't know, maybe they don't want to have both this and the customizable version in the same build, so yeah, that's fair enough. Also, Plasma Torpedoes is a nice basic attack. Again, interesting because the regular version does not have torpedoes, so that's a bit of a difference. Now, the modification and configuration are both different than the standard version, so let's read through these. First of all, Contingency Protocol. After this ship is destroyed, another friendly ship at range 0 to 3 with contingency protocol may perform an action even while stressed. Now that seems pretty cool if you can have a lot of separatist ships with that. Indeed, the one other card we're going to look at today does have it, so maybe there will be a nice little quick build combination with those. It's odd, we're actually seeing effects like this become meta viable in X-Wing for one reason or another, so I don't disregard this outright. I think it's actually quite an okay ability. We also have Strut Lock Override instead of the standard landing struts. At the start of your activation, you may spend a charge. If you do, ignore obstacles while you move through them this round. Which is very, very powerful. It's, like collision detector essentially, except you have to spend up your landing struts in order to use it. It seems alright actually, I don't mind this at all. The positioning on this ship does matter. It can jam ships, essentially for free with that pilot ability. And it's got plasma torpedoes, so if that's the difference between lining up a shot with that, it seems well worth it. Yeah, this seems quite cool. Again, I don't know if it's categorically better or worse than its original version of the pilot, which can take tactical relays and coordinate other droids, which is very, very powerful, but nonetheless, I don't mind a nice little offensive ship. It's never a bad thing for the game. Last but not least, we have DIS T81, and this is a tri-fighter. Again, no changes to the stats of the ship. All works as per usual. The pilot ability reads, while you defend and perform an attack, you may re-roll any number of your dice. Then, if you are defending, gain a strain token for each dice that were re-rolled. If you're attacking, gain a deplete token for each die that was re-rolled instead. Which is really interesting because it means you're getting negative tokens for what you're doing currently, but that won't affect you until the next turn, unless you defend more than once per round, which I guess is possible. The regular version of this, as in the customizable version of DIS T81, reads, while you defend and perform an attack, you may spend a calculate from a friendly ship in the enemy ship's firing arm to change a focus to an evade or hit result, which is kind of like a secondary network calculation. So you've got almost like two versions of that same effect to spend on your attacks or defenses. You can make the argument that the quick build version of this card has more upside overall. You can just re-roll and modify more dice, and then just use network calculation to convert one result. Because DIS can already just take a calculate, spend more calculate. I don't know what's mathematically more consistent, but I guess DIS T81 in its quick build form doesn't need to have other ships in your enemy's firing arc. Seems like that's going to give the pilot more agency, so that seems pretty cool. In terms of the upgrade cards it can take, this is a lot more than the regular pilot would otherwise be able to take. The customizable version of this has 12 points worth of upgrades, and outmaneuver alone is worth 12 points. Also, what's Afterburners worth? It is worth 10 points. On top of the fact as well that I quite like the design of Contingency Protocol, this just seems probably just straight up better than the other version of this pilot. I don't know if it's enough to make this go from 4 points to 5 points. It is a pretty big boost in power. It's pretty hard to make that call. This ship currently only has 4-point pilots. Maybe this is powerful enough to make it 5 points. I don't know, but this is the only sort of quick build card that we've seen so far that makes me go, oh yeah, this is just straight up better than the other version of this pilot. All the rest of them, there's an argument to make that they're probably just going to end up costing the same as their customizable counterpart. But, this is just probably better in most ways. So, yeah, seems all right. And with that, that's all of the information on these new quick build cards we currently have. Now, as I'm recording this video, we are days out from Gen Con. There's a pretty good chance we're going to get some more information. In any case, I'm sure there'll be something announced at Gen Con, either from AMG or some other company that will be worth talking about on this channel, so I'll be sure to keep an eye on all of that. In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for all things X-Wing as news develops. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the videos. Yes, it does really, really help. So go down there, click all the buttons, the bell, all that kind of stuff. Go on. I'll wait. Also, we have a Patreon for the channel if you want to support us monetarily as well. $1 a month gets you access to the Patreon Discord. So if you want to come hang out and chat with us, all you have to do is click the link in the description for that below. And with all that out of the way, I will catch all of you in the next video.